How's it going, lads? I'm NewClues and welcome back for more of the latest VR news. In this video we will be taking a look at the question that is on your mind, whether the Vive Pro 2 is better than the HP Reverb G2. But before we get into the video, if you enjoy my content and want to make my day just a little bit better, then please do subscribe. It's just one click and it means a lot to me. You can also follow me on any of my socials, link in the description. That said, on with the video. Valve and HP are both giants of the VR market, with HP already producing the Reverb V2 and HTC having the Vive Pro, Focus 3 and just the original Vive itself. But with the Vive Pro 2 release, is the HP Reverb G2 dwarfed by the sheer power and pixel density of the Vive Pro 2? Well, to start with, let's take a look at the price. Both headsets are set at dramatically different price points. The HTC Vive Pro 2 is £719 as the headset alone, but if you add on the controllers and base stations, it ends up around £1,500 in total. Compare that to the Reverb G2, which ends up at about the £700 mark, which is still not cheap by any means, I might add. But it's not the same as having to make the decision whether to buy a Vive Pro 2 or to have your mortgage on your house paid off. £1,500? I mean, are you joking, Vive? We spent all our money on Fallout 4, what more do you want, blood? That said, I do have to give it HTC. The Vive Pro 2 is a truly impressive piece of tech. Resolution wise, the Pro 2 does take the cake, beating even that of the Reverb G2. It has one of 2448 by 2448 pixels per eye, which is one of the best in consumer VR market. The Reverb G2 sits a bit below it with a 7.34cm LCD display at a resolution of 2160 by 2160 pixels per eye. This is still very commendable in itself, but it's 1-0 to the Vive Pro 2 in this case. Then onto the refresh rate. The HTC Vive Pro 2 has a refresh rate of 90Hz or 120Hz, interchangeable using the software provided by HTC, and the Reverb G2 follows up behind with one of 90Hz, which is still pretty good. That's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just not at the level of the Vive Pro. With the field of view again, the Vive Pro 2 is on top with a relatively big one of 120 degrees. The Reverb G2 is still behind a bit, with an FOV of 114 degrees. The Vive Pro 2 also has some very interesting lenses. Unlike other lenses we are used to, these lenses are partially square. This allows the FOV to be increased sideways, but the vertical FOV is decreased a tiny bit, but I think it's worth it. Unfortunately, the Vive Pro 2 comes with the same horrendous microphone as the original Vive Pro, which is just so disappointing. They've upgraded a lot of other stuff, but they've left that terrible microphone in there. The Reverb's microphone is much better than the Vive Pro 2's mic, so it's something like 3-1 now, I think. I mean, am I counting at this point? I can't be. I'm committed now. 3-1 to the Vive Pro 2 it is. On the audio front, they both have off-ear headphones, and both are actually pretty decent audio quality. I always say that I think off-ear headphones are the best way to have audio in VR. The audio you have on something like the Quest is okay, it's just not quite there in comparison. Both headsets are also incredibly comfortable and are known to be really good at that. The tracking on both of the headsets is pretty decent as well. Nothing incredible, but it's definitely up to scratch. One thing I will say about comfort is that HTC does it incredibly well. All of their headsets are just so nice to play with, and after even a few hours it doesn't get uncomfortable, something Oculus could learn from. Other thing you need to add is how both headsets house LCD displays, so you don't get the rich contrast which you can find in headsets with OLED displays such as the original Quest. Personally, I don't really mind, and I think both these headsets seem to do a pretty decent job on giving a good experience, despite being LCD panels. So, what is my final verdict? My conclusion to the question, which is better? Well, specs wise, the Vive Pro 2 is far in front of most other headsets out there currently, but it does come with a heavy price tag of £1,500, whereas the Reverb G2 sits a little bit lower price wise, but still has relatively impressive specs and is a very good all round headset. So if you do have the money, I would very much recommend that you get the Vive Pro 2. It's an incredible piece of tech with a great list of specs, and if you already own the controllers, base stations, then you can buy just the headset for £719. In that case, it is a far much better looking deal than the £1,500 it is to buy the full package. If you don't have any controllers or anything like that, then I would recommend the Reverb G2, or in fact the Valve Index. They're both very good options. The Reverb G2 is half the price of the Vive Pro 2 as the full package, and it's a very appealing headset. Well, I think I've covered all I wanted to. Both the headsets are incredibly impressive, as I said before, and it's really a price thing with your choice. If you'd like to see me make a video on the Vive Focus 3, then leave a comment below or leave a like on this video, and I'll be sure to do that. Just in general, if you do want to see any more comparisons between headsets, then do leave a like below. It just lets me know that I should keep doing this. Also on screen now my socials, so if you want to follow me there, and if you want a little bit more stuff which I'll post, you can just find it there. But most importantly, subscribe here if you like this. That means a huge amount to me. Well, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for more of the latest VR news. Thanks lads.